Welcome to That Just Doesn't Make Sense, the Nature of Things. We're going to continue the series on progressivism. This is the third installment of this series based upon an article from the Center for American Progress. The title, The Progressive Intellectual Tradition in America. Progressivism as an intellectual movement emerged between 1890 and 1920 as a response to the multitude of problems associated with the industrialization of the U.S. economy, frequent economic depressions, political corruption, rising poverty, low wages, poor working condition, tenement living, lack of collective bargaining power, unsafe consumer products, and the misuse of natural resources. In this episode, we are going to focus on a specific section of that article, which is what I just read to you. In this section, it tells us when the movement emerged into the public and political landscapes. It states that a response to the multitude of problems associated with the industrialization of the United States economy. I stopped right there because I want to review the list of so-called problems. Why did I use the phrase so-called? Because I want to vet their premises. So let us start with frequent economic depressions. Now, when I first read this document and I came to that accusation, a question formed in my mind. What frequent depressions? Because according to the public schools that I attended when I was a child, there was only one depression we were taught about, and that was the Great Depression of 1921. So then, what are they talking about? So, the following is a list of depressions that occurred from 1920 back to our nation's beginning. Number 1, Panic of 1797, the very first economic crisis. It was caused by wild land speculation. There was a severe financial crisis in Great Britain and the newly formed United States. It was caused by a bursting land speculation bubble and a lack of money. The crisis caused businesses to fail and left many Americans in debt. Number 2, Panic of 1819, the first major peacetime depression. It was caused by easy credit and risky bank loans, triggered by global market shifts after the Napoleonic Wars. It was heavily driven by rampant real estate speculation, loose bank credit, and crashing cotton prices. Then sudden economic contraction led to massive unemployment, farm foreclosures, and bank failures nationwide. Number 3, the Panic of 1837, a massive crisis that lasted into the mid-1840s. It was caused by bank failures and a collapse in land prices. Now, I know about this because of Andrew Jackson when I studied him after I was not in public school, which is when I started educating myself. Andrew Jackson's attempt to control runaway land speculation, and it affected the American economy over the next 6 years, resulted in the failure of many banks and caused extensive unemployment throughout the country. As a side note, and I think you'll like this, it also led to the donkey becoming the mascot of the Democratic Party, because Congress would call Andrew Jackson a jackass, and his response, I love that. Let's make it our mascot. He was the Donald Trump of that era, for sure. Also, this particular depression was caused directly from Andrew Jackson's actions. You see, another thing that no one has, taught you is that Andrew Jackson is the only president who paid off the national debt. Think about that. That was major. Number 4, Panic of 1873. This sparked the Long Depression. It lasted for 65 months, over 5 years, which made it the longest depression in our history. I'm pausing. If it was the longest depression in our history, then why is the Great Depression of 1925 taught and not the longest one? Just a side note. It was the result of severe financial crisis that started when European investors sold American railroad bonds, causing a major bank to fail. This triggered a massive depression that lasted 1873 to 1879. It caused widespread business closures, high unemployment across the United States. Number 5, Panic of 1893. A severe downturn, sparked the collapse of railroad companies. It began in 1893 and officially ended 8 months later. It was the most serious economic depression in history until the Great Depression of the 30s. Side note, I tried looking it up on my tablet while writing this, but there was not a lot of information. You would think that it would be readily available, not saying it just to find. I just thought that was weird. Depression of 1920 and 1921. A very sharp, short depression right after World War I. It was caused by soldiers returning home, looking for work, and changing from wartime to peacetime economy. And as I said earlier, the only depression that I had heard of was the Great Depression. And and most of you would agree. So why did they not teach us about them? We will get into that subject when I dig into the public school system in future episodes. So you probably have guessed by now, if you have watched my videos, I have an analytical type of mind. So that when I read the document that got this ball of wax rolling, I wanted to research what was presented in it. I have to make sense of the words and the content contained within those words. The document actually was a good read and put together very well. But as I read it, I soon realized that it was written more like a sales pitch to me rather than a document that contained facts to go back and look at. That would make me say, yes, I can see what they are talking about, but it doesn't do that. It makes me think they're trying to sell me something. But what it does do for me is it wants me to dig deeper. So I did. Remember when I said the only depression I was taught was in school was the Great Depression? That is true. But when I started to look up the 6 depressions mentioned in this episode, they were all classified as recessions. Why? I did not have an answer for that, but I will try to find that answer that makes sense to me. Then I can share it. I hope this episode was able to get you to say to yourself, maybe he's got something. Look those depressions up yourself and hopefully come back and say, you're right. Or you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Either way, and I don't care which way it is, I just want to have an answer. I don't care if I'm wrong. That's good. That means that I will be right then after that. And if it should be something there to move you, then post it, comment it, so we can discuss it in up and coming episodes. And with that said, thank you for watching, listening, and don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. Thank you.